Okay, so if we run this now, test resources, interesting. It doesn't really seem to be progressing much. Oh. Wait. Okay. Okay, that has the correct type. It didn't get compressed anymore, but now we have to see. Oh, it crashed. So yeah, that it took that long to copy, probably a sign of a bug somewhere. Shouldn't, though. Did I mix up source and destination or something? Shouldn't really be a problem. We'll see, I guess. Let's open ResEdit. Do a get file folder info. Find the backup. Get info on test resources. And yeah, it has about 1.5 megabytes in the data fork. So that looks like it went right. Excuse me. My soda is speaking to me, apparently. Alright, so we have a data fork resource file. At least that part worked. The other files looking okay. Let's unpack the project. Yeah, that works as well. So one thing I just realized is that maybe stuff it is not the right solution. So because for one, when you use stuff it to unpack something, it asks you where to save. I guess I can change that. Preferences, same as original. Okay, that works. I guess that would work then. Okay, so because otherwise I wouldn't be able to unpack it. But I'm thinking, if you remember, if any of you ever used macOS back then, or even actually macOS 10, when you inserted a Unix or DOS floppy that didn't know about resource forks into a Mac and saved Mac files on it, it would create a parallel directory structure. So it would kind of create a folder containing separate files for all the resource forks. And I could probably do something like that as well. Of course, ideally, I'd use the same standard that they used. But I guess I would have to find documentation for that. So I think I'm going to muddle along using Stuffit for now. Because at least that gets me to lets me convert some data over. And at least this way I would not lose any important data. But now one thing we need to find out, what went wrong when we copied So we ask it to copy 512 bytes. We read those 512 bytes in the buffer, possibly fewer. Oh wait, one thing we should probably do here. Bytes read less than 0 or error equals end of file, then break here. No, wait. It will always return how many it has read, so this should be fine. Okay, bytes written, bytes read. So it writes out these bytes. Otherwise it will say I could only write this many. Do you ever post in an Apple forum, hey, does anyone still have the specs for feature blah version X from 1991? I do occasionally post stuff like that on Twitter, yeah, because I know that there are a bunch of retro nerds following me there as well, and also, you know, people who were there as well and might at least remember something. So I guess, yeah. There's also a few Discords about retro programming. So there are still other people who do that. I'm not the only crazy person. All right. Total bytes written plus equals bytes written. That's fine. File progress. Total bytes written, comma, source file length. I don't really see anything obviously wrong with that. And I guess 1.5 megabytes shouldn't really be a problem in a long, so that's not it either. Source file length. I wonder if we're just calling this too often. Copy file progress. Let's see, that says both the dest file descriptor and that sets the source. So in that case it shouldn't make a difference. You know what I'm doing? I'm going to make this and allocate this manually, because then we can make it a little bit larger. Oh, and we need, wait, we can just use putter then, I guess. And I think you can use get putter size, so we don't even need to remember how large it is. So where is it here? Get putter size. And now before this, we say buffer equals new putter what do we say, 8 kilobytes? I think that's a good block size. You can, I shouldn't do that on the stack here, I think. But I think on the heap that is fine. Dispose putter buffer equals null. That way we're hopefully more likely to crash if it gets used afterwards. And make sure we free it anywhere where we return. Or should I go with 16K? Let's try 16K. That should mean most files should just copy over like pop. And I don't mean soda with that. Development, res edit, cheap version control.
Uh-oh.
That was fast. Did it actually copy everything? Test resources. 1.6 megabytes. That looks good. Okay, don't know. Seems to work. So now, what have we done? You know, I just realized we could do the mean thing and do the progress over the number of files, so you at least see something. Ah, never mind. Let's leave it like that for now. I guess we could also put the program progress down here over the files. But anyway, so what we're doing now is we're copying stuff into a folder with a unique name. And now, what else do I want to do? One thing I want to do is I want to copy back so let's call this revert. Oh no, wait, I've forgotten something. Because this is just flat. But of course, what do we do to back them all up? So we should probably do a on, what is it? Copy folder contents, source path, dest path, and copy folder. All right. And you know what? I forgot. This should actually at the start of every file, we should really call it like this. Let's just run this one more time. Yeah, at least now you see it kind of flashing when it's copying one file. It's interesting how fast the 1 megabyte file goes, though. And I actually think drive E on my computer is actually a hard disk. So it's not even, oh, this entire computer is on SSD. Okay. Anyway. That reminds me, I think, yeah, double click handling. I don't think we should hand that off to drop stuff, but we'll leave the rest of the code in for now. All right. Wait, can we make this multiple lines, but it doesn't actually allow me to have no selected line? That's a bit annoying. Anyway. Don't even know if I need selection here. Let's just turn off auto select. That's good enough for now. All right. Where were we? Right, we wanted to make this work recursively. So, but you know what? First thing I want to do is make a backup of this stack. did that ask me again? Stuff each item as an individual archive. Don't stuff files that are already compressed. Destination, same as original. Why did it ask? Anyway. So we now have this. And now I'll just drop this over on the Windows side. So that if I do something wrong, it won't screw this one up. And, oh, I could have actually left that open because I also wanted to get this one. Xcopy file. Compress it. Yes, on data seems fine. And now we make a backup of that manually as well. Oh, I should probably put a date on it. 2021, 12/16. All right. So basically still manually doing what I would have done. Okay. So now we want to make sure we can go several levels of folders deep. And we do that by moving this. Oh, this would probably make a new directory listing. Hi, goat. Young Gray the Goat. I think I hope I pronounced that right. What am I coding today? Actually, still the thing from yesterday, though I've made the native code portions work, so it's now into manually doing stuff. So my problem with the file copying was basically just that what was it? I had... Oh yeah, I think I was opening the source file twice instead of the source file and the destination file. And so it was basically overwriting the file with itself. Which I'm surprised I didn't get any error messages or corrupted files from that, actually. Because, like, if the writing... So it was the first time I opened the file for reading, and the second time I opened it for writing. And so if that just worked, it should have moved the read marker. I guess since I only opened one for reading and one for writing, I probably got separate read and write markers. and that's why it worked, and then it just overwrote the file with itself. Interesting. I never really thought about what the operating system did in cases where you open a file twice. Like, I know that some APIs, because I didn't have in mind, I didn't intentionally open it twice. I know some operating systems will just let you open a file a second time, which is actually pretty nice, and then, give you a complete separate data structure, just manipulating the same underlying file. And I guess that's what must have happened here, because I got a different read and write position. So reading from the file didn't move the data, and then writing, otherwise, if it was the same read-write position, writing would have overwritten the next couple bytes with the previous bytes. When did I start coding? Probably 25 years ago. It depends on, but like roughly around that time. That was actually with a slightly older version of this operating system and with HyperCard here. I didn't start out... I guess about 25 years ago was probably just about when I started writing code in C. So basically the stuff I'm doing now, not quite at that level and not quite that fast and not quite that successfully, is what I was doing back then. So yeah, I'm old. There's some fly or tiny mosquito or something flying around here, and it just came at me like this and back again. Rude. All right. So I think I should start by cleaning up a little before I do this. Because I see if I recursively actually also copy subfolders, then of course the folder listing needs to be either it needs to be hierarchical. That's probably the better idea. So before we screw something up after all, let's build us a test data folder. And let's see, what do we want to put in there? Some text file sounds good. Some stack sounds good. A project sounds good. Some arbitrary file that we don't treat specially sounds good. And now a folder that sorts at the top sounds good. Our resource file. Oh, I backed those up as well. That was a bit wasteful. Pointless 1.5 megabyte. Okay, so we have the resource file in here. And let's see. Let's put an application in there as well. And maybe another source file. All right. And now pick test data. Okay, and so now we just show, okay, this is a folder, and these are a few files. That's a good start. And now what I want to do is list all the files inside this folder as well, and just indent them a little. We do that. Wait, let's rename. Did we cart button 1? Okay, so we can just rename this. Refresh. And that one should move to the right position when we resize. Yes. Okay. We should probably turn them into icons later, give them a look kind of like a toolbar. Actually, we could do that now. No. Not feeling like drawing icons today. Okay, so let's see. We need a way. So this lists everything and then puts it into these card fields. So let's see. First thing we need to do is change this to append. From folder folder path. Append items from folder path. So now it's not tied. It's not tied anymore to that one folder. And now we need to first make sure that these 3 fields are empty. So this way, when we append to them, nothing bad happens. Go away. And the number of files, we'll have to take care of that later. Doesn't matter now. Okay, so this lists the files and then loops over all them. And if it's a folder, then, okay, first put so that we don't repeatedly do that.
Uh-oh.
Okay. types, and if it's a folder. So we've put and if, okay. So we've put the folder name itself in the list. And now here we put after and put a return at the end. So that hopefully the next one won't be smushed up against it. All right. And so far this should do the same as before. Lists the files. Are we using the path anywhere else? No, we're getting the full paths anyway, so we're safe. Perfect. So here's the thing. We are splitting up the list that we get from the file listing. So the list contains the full path to each file in the folder, which means when we do the subfolders, we don't need to treat them specially. If the next item just has a path that is one folder deeper, that is fine. But of course, we also build this list with only the names and the icons, and we want the subfolder items to be indented underneath this. So first, we need to make it possible to indent something. So we just say append items from folder, indent spaces. And so in this case, we just have an empty string. And now in here, when we've added the folder, we do append items from folder again. And this time the line is the path. So the line indent spaces, and we append one more space. Oh. Okay, we can't do it like this because names list, you know what, maybe, no, we can't do that either because we don't have multiple return values. I thought first maybe we could make it a function and then just return the file list. So we can't really do this. We have to work directly on the text fields. Names list. Put tab icon at last item of the line and return after card field 1. And so that's the names list. Okay. Now we need the paths list, which is card field 4. Put the line and return after card field 4. So wait, what was this? Oh, I can't check anymore. Card field 4 was paths list. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that's all paths list, and now we need our types list.
Uh-oh.
This uh-oh is just not finding any search results. Put type creator and return after types list. Okay. So what we're doing now is we're updating the text fields live. And that in turn means that when we recursively call append items from folder here, it will actually insert these below the folder into the text field, and then when this returns, the next loop will add the next file in the parent folder to the list. And of course, what we should also do is move this here in here. Set the text font of character 1 to 2 of last line of card field 1. Let's see if that works. Hopefully we're benefiting from it returning and ignoring an empty line now. So this should give us everything without the indentation, because we're not yet prefixing this with indentation. Error getting folder info. Okay. So let's just step through, I guess, and see what happens. Okay, let's show the variable watcher, as always. I'm beginning to like one thing in HyperCard better than here. So HyperCard always brings up a regular script editor window to show you what it's debugging. And then you can bring up the variable watcher, and the variable watcher you can use elsewhere. But you can't tell it to always show the variable watcher when the debugger starts. And HyperCard does that differently. HyperCard has a special debugger window that contains your source code at the bottom, and at the top contains variables and things like that. And so that means whenever you are brought into the debugger by a breakpoint, for example, you have your variables there as you need them. And yeah, I miss that now that I have to call up the variable watcher each time. Does it have a shortcut? No, it doesn't. All right, let's see. The line. What is the line? Okay, that's the folder. Type creator. Delete character. of the line. That's the type creator. So now we only have the folder. Put the line and return after card field 4. So that's the list of paths and contains the folder now. Put character 1 to 4 of type creator in the type. That is folder. Now we give it the icon B. And now we say last item of the line after card field 1. And I think we saw that. Oh, we are in lock screen, so we don't see it update. Set the text font of character 1 to 2. Last line of card field 1 to file icons. Well, and now, if it's a folder, then it goes here. Step into. What is folder path? Aardvark. Okay. And now
Uh-oh.
so the question is, do we have to add? Let's see if it's just missing the colon and we didn't realize. But yeah, it seems to be working otherwise. Okay, I think that worked. We have that extra empty line that we can get rid of eventually. And this one contains silly balls, stream app, and test resources. Okay, that all works fine. And now we put indent spaces and the type icon in there. So now indentation should work. The first level will get an empty string for indentation. The second level gets an empty string plus a space. So that should work. And actually, instead of a space, let's use a tab key, which should indent a little deeper. And we have to say character 1 to 2 plus length of indent spaces, so that the spaces are, so the tabs, I guess, get that custom font as well. Oh no, wait, let's say character let's put into indent depth, and then say set the text font of character indent depth plus 1 to indent depth plus 2 to file icons. So that should give us the spaces in the normal font and the icons in another one. Okay, now it's a little bit indented, though the tab isn't as successful as I originally thought. Oh, probably no. Should be the standard font. So I guess instead of tab 1, 2, 3, 4, let's use 4 spaces. That looks better. And now we actually have a hierarchical display of all the subfolders. But the nice thing is that the update should work just the same, except for that extra line break at the end. So here delete last character of card field 1, 4, and 3. So that the line numbers aren't wrong. So now, yeah. And now this should be basically the same list. For the commit thing, it gets a list of all the files. And I don't even need to any special recursive treatment here. Now all I need to do is do a new folder. So let's see. If it's a folder, then create a new folder on the destination side. Okay, we have the file name and we have the path. Set no, let's just copy this and only do it for the folder case because that's the only place where we need it. Item delimiter colon. Put the path into parent folder path. Delete last item of parent folder path. And now new folder, parent folder path, file name. No, wait, this is wrong. Oh, I need to build a relative path. All right, so what is do we have the no, we don't have the source path yet. That should be this field, card field path. Put card field path into parent folder path. No, into root folder path. So now the thing is, we are copying, for example, the file data test data aardvark. Well, that's the folder. But we're copying it to gluttony, then that auto-generated name, test data, and the date, :aardvark. So we have this destination path, and we have the source path, and we have the full path to the original folder. So basically data, test data, aardvark. And now we need to generate only aardvark. But in the case of Sillyballs, for example, which is in aardvark, its path is data, test data, aardvark, Sillyballs. Never thought I'd say something like that. And so now what we need is not just Sillyballs. We need aardvark : Sillyballs, so that when we copy it to the destination, it will actually put it in the right sub location. So this just got slightly more complicated. So first we get the original data test data path, and now here in the loop we have when x of pass list into path, and here it gets us file name, when really what we want is the sub path, let's call it that. So the path is the original path, and root folder path is a prefix of that. So we can just say delete character 1 to length of root folder path of subpath, and of course put the path into subpath. We could probably just say put character length of root folder path +1. Yeah, let's do it that. Slightly less roundabout. Put folder path +1 to length of the path into subpath. And now we want to, here is a folder. Next repeat. Okay, and here we now use not parent folder path, but of course that's still not quite perfect, because now we have the full path, but we still need the parent folder, because our directory creation xcmd, the way I wrote it, doesn't just take the file to the whole thing, but actually its name. So let's leave that. Put not the path, but let's see what it is. What is it called? Destination folder delete last item of parent folder path. And also put folder name, put last item of parent folder path into folder name. And so now this should be correct. Put destination folder and subpath into destination path. All right. Let's see what is here. That's the source path. Okay. Destination folder. And file name. So that should be destination path. Oh, we actually have that already. Okay, copy file from the path. And now destination folder is of course wrong, because that's the destination root. Put okay, let's remember that we have to get back here. And maybe rename the destination folder to destination root path.
Nimm Haltung an, junger Mann!
Posture, yes, thank you. Young Gray the goat. Yeah, that was necessary. Keep bending over forward more and more. Should probably just move this window a little bit up. All right, we were okay, and now we need to generate the destination folder. Put destination root path into destination folder. Set item delimiter to colon. Set item to comma. Delete last item of destination path. Oh, of destination folder. Okay, so now we should have the path. The name will stay the same, but it's now the deeper path. Okay. And now we have to see if we have more mentions of destination folder. No. what made you want to start coding? Good question. Basically, HyperCard. So this program that I'm using here with this little tool palette and things like that, a friend basically showed me that, and just showed me, that you could just, make your own computer programs with it. And so, I just went, oh, so I can just, I don't know, use this pattern for grass and use a brick pattern for a house and where is it? I guess here. Use a roof shingle pattern for the roof. And then I can put a button on there and make that my doorbell. And then I can go, oh, I hope that works. No, it doesn't. I would have liked to do the demo, but, so I did my drawing in the wrong spot and the emulator has problems with the copy and paste. So I can't do the same picture. Well, I guess let's just redo the picture. So we have a background here that ends up on all cards. We have patterns here. So we make some lawn. We can even, add a sun. We can add a brick house. We can, as I said, add a roof. And we can add a door. And we can add a window. We could even fill the window and give it a frame that way. And well, I guess that doesn't work here, but I guess I can do it this way. Well, anyway, you could make a window here. Let's just make it simpler. Okay, now you can go to the foreground. We have the doorbell. Put it here. We draw a door with, like a doorknob or something. And maybe also a little window in it. Or so. And now I can make a new card. And on this new card, I can make an open door. Okay, not very straight. Of course, don't forget the little window in the door. And maybe the door handle. Okay. And now I can double click this button and say tasks and say, okay, I wanted to make sound. All right. Now when I click it, it goes boing. And now I can say link it to, and go to the next card where we have the open door, and say link it to this card. And now when I click here, it goes boing, and the door is open. And I know that sounds, you know, overly simple, and I mean this looks ridiculous because I just basically smeared it here and screwed up the perspective. Let's see if I can at least make it look a little more straight. Okay. And that was just such a simple you know, seeing that it doesn't take much to make your own games in this case, I guess. You know, and that you can just sit down and do something and you don't even have to learn programming. And then I went, okay, so how does this programming work? And you just look at the script and it says, oh, play boing, go to card ID 4114. And now if you look, okay, card info, here it says ID 2946. And this one, card info with the open door, is 4114. So that's the one. Okay. Now I could just name that open door and name the previous one closed door. And then I can edit this here and say go to card open door. And now if I click this, it still works. You know, and you know, I was, I don't know, 10. And I mean, I had been interested in computers before. Like I'd written some small basic programs. And I don't know how I got interested in that really. It just seemed interesting to be able to write some text and something happens. I guess the magic. You made a black and white movie called Disaster in HyperCard, which was a slideshow of collapsing buildings. Yeah, I guess you could do that too. Yeah, and that was kind of, I guess that was kind of part of the point was, you know, this being able to do, I feel bad calling this art, but you know, someone who is good at that could make art in here and then add small interactions like this, you know. Like one thing I saw Ada do once was do a picture of a building with like paintings, and the paintings, the eyes would move. And you know, you can do that here. You can just create a button somewhere and give it an icon. And I think we actually have an eye somewhere. Yeah, for example, here you have an icon. And now you can bring up the icon editor. You can say, I think you can duplicate. You can copy the, here, duplicate icon. So now we have a second icon. And now we can select this. This is a trick, by the way. You don't see any tools here, but if you hold down the command key, you get a selection rectangle. And so you can just move that eye over a little. Let's see. This icon is 1009, 1010. Okay. Duplicate it again, and 1011. Looks even further over. And now if you go through and if you look at this one, for example, you see it moving, you know? And now you can say script on mouse up, repeat with x equals 1009 to 1011, and repeat set icon of me to x, wait 20 ticks maybe. So ticks are 1/60 of a second, so that would be 1/3 of a second. And so now if you click it, it kind of looks to the side. You know, and that's how you can make like simple, small animations. And you can even then go and say, hey, let's do this backwards. And say 1011 down to 1009. So now if I click it, it just looks over there for a moment. And you know, by using that, by putting little buttons that just flip through these icons somewhere, you know, you can make really interesting stuff. And that was just fun. And yeah, I saw that and I went like, I want to do something like that. I saw my friends play games on their NES. Now you know how old I am. Well, they played games on their gaming computers, and I thought, like, you know, playing those games is not that much fun for me. But I would have wanted to make games like that myself. And this thing let me do that. And so that's how I got into that. And then I made more and more complex things with HyperCard, with this program. And yeah, that's kind of how I got into programming. At some point, I just ran into things that I couldn't do with HyperCard. And so I found native code plugins that other people had written. And then I went like, okay, can I write these native code plugins myself? And then I wrote a few of those. And then at some point I went, okay, once I know how to make a native code plugin, I might as well write an entire program. And so that was the next step. And then I just kept going. Hi, True Tony. Good evening. How's it going? Yeah, I'm doing well. The backup program basically worked. We took a little detour and explained HyperCard here. And now I'm trying to make it so it can cope with subfolders. Looks like it made a cool looking house. Yeah. But, you know, it's the I think you've seen it before. It's the HyperCard standard example for me, at least. The thing that I learned with, okay, this is what you can do with HyperCard. That you can have, you know, a house and then goes to a different card, plays a sound, and the door is open. And that you can have an icon with an icon animation. And that was just so cool because you just place that stuff. It's not, when you want to learn real programming, it's always so it's, you know, like with programming languages, like for those native code plugins, there's so much work you have to do just to bring up a window. And in HyperCard, you just choose new stack, you have a window. You choose new button, the button is in there. It's like a paint program. You just, you know, drop that stuff in there. It's like PowerPoint, Keynote, whatever. And that was the point where I realized it's not that hard. And then after using that easier stuff, you know, it came by myself that I needed to do more I couldn't do it that easy way. And so you kind of learn bits and pieces of the rest, and at some point you realize I've just written an entire program. Like HyperCard, you know? Not just like one HyperCard stack or something. You're not really that familiar with HyperCard, so most of the stuff you see or has been and is new to me. Ah, okay. Yeah. Well, I'll give you a quick rundown. If you're interested, you can always go back to the VOD or YouTube. Basically what I did is I went to the background. Whoops, that's a new background. That's actually not what I wanted. So I went to the background and drew a house with a open hole door. Then I went to the foreground and painted a closed door over it, and I added a button as a doorbell. We can actually make that nicer. We can actually make that a transparent button and choose my favorite doorbell icon here. Now it even looks a little nicer. But of course now we will need to replace it. And then I made a second card using the same background and drew an open door on it. Let's just delete that doorbell and paste the new one. And so now when you go here, one more thing I did was I used link to kind of say I went to that card, like using the go menu item or arrow keys, you know, just brought up that card, and then I can click this card, and then it would go back and it wrote the code for me. I did the same with tasks for a sound, and the script it wrote was play boing, go to card, open door. And so now I can ring the doorbell and it opens. And I designed a few icons using the icon editor. So this is one that came with HyperCard, and then I did a second one and a third one, so they kind of look to the side, and wrote a little script that looks forward and back. And yeah. Not that much work. And the nice thing is, you know, you can do more complex animations. You can, for example, what's this button? Let's call this button I, and take its script out and instead put it in the card and say on idle. So idle is basically just periodically called. So when I say on idle here instead of on mouse up, maybe make this a little faster because waiting is not very efficient. Oh, right, it's not icon of me, icon of card button I. And now you see this eye will just keep looking back and forth. Of course you want to be, as you see, like whenever, you know, it takes a whole animation each time. So you want to make this a little more clever, and you can, you know, you can do something like global current icon ID, and you learn that stuff eventually, you know. And G icon direction if current icon ID is empty or icon direction is empty, then, because, you know, if the global is new, it has nothing in it, then put 1009 into current icon ID, put 1 into icon direction, else add icon direction to current icon ID. So if this starts first, it's empty, then we will put 1009 in there and 1 into the direction. Then the next time we're called, we add the direction, which is 1, to current icon ID. So we go from 9 to 10. So we can do here set icon to current icon ID. But now, of course, we have to say if g icon ID is 1, so we're going forward, and current icon ID is bigger than 1011, then no, wait, let's say, oh, and it's double equals, of course. Let's just say is. If then put -1 into icon direction. So that means basically we've done the forward loop and now we're doing switching back to the backward loop. Else if, and now we do backwards again. If current icon ID is -1 and the icon ID is 1009, then we set it back to 1. And now on every idle the icon will change. Whoops, and I did something wrong. Let's see. Show message watcher. Not message watcher, variable watcher is what we want. G icon direction and current icon ID. Okay. What did I do wrong here? Icon ID. Oh, it's not the icon ID, it's the direction that I wanted to check here. That's why it didn't work. Okay, it still goes over. Anyway, debugging that stuff here, it should really be fairly trivial. Okay, so let's say bigger same and less than same 1009. Let's see what that does. Why does it go higher? Did I type it wrong? 1011 and 1009. feel dumb now. If it's bigger, same 11. Put -1 into the direction. If icon direction is -1 and current icon ID is less than same 9, then put 1 into the direction. I guess we set a breakpoint. Let's see. Okay. So now what is the icon direction? Wait, we need the variable watcher, I guess. Icon direction is 1.
Uh-oh.
And we're at 1009.
Uh-oh.
So now none of these is hit. And we add 1 to it, so it's 10. That's fine. That's the eye glancing one more to the side. Now we're on 10. Still not bigger than 11. Direction is still 1. Breakpoints, nice. Which HyperCard version added those? Haven't seen those before. That should be HyperCard 2. That had the full debugger. I'm not quite sure what version 1... whether version 1 maybe had a very primitive form of this. So, icon direction, now it's 11. Set it to 11, that's fine. And now here, current icon ID is 1011. Icon direction is 1. Why didn't this match? Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm writing C code again. This concatenates two strings. I'm an idiot. Okay. And now it works. I wrote 2 ampersands like in C, not and like in HyperCard. But since 2 ampersands are used to concatenate strings, it it accepted it. But anyway, you know, like this way you can have just animation somewhere, or you can move a button around, you know, like have it fly through the area or something. It's really fun, all the stuff you can do here. Every time you use Spotlight, it writes text to Twitch chat. It's fine. I thought you were thinking about the eye, you know, like because it was so quickly like jerking around that it was kind of hyper. So I didn't even mind. Goes literally to 2 places. Oh, jeez. Okay, that's weird. I've never heard that before. I never had it. Although, I've heard of a few... What was the other text entry bug? I mean, this is ANEC data, not real data. If you have a file save dialog and hit delete and then start typing, only the file name was selected, not the suffix. And then it deletes the file name, but then when you start typing, it adds a second suffix. Apparently that's a new bug now. Yeah. So luckily it seems I mostly duplicate files and rarely create new ones, and I think it doesn't happen if you just type over the selected text. It only happens when you delete the selected text. Apparently something thinks, oh, delete has made it empty, so I need to add a new suffix, instead of checking whether it's actually empty after deletion. I was about to say, 1x set user level to 5 works, but not in 2x. Then probably you have HyperCard Player, or you are working with a protected stack. So this is a stack, open in HyperCard, and here is the protect stack menu item. And here you can say, oh, people should only be able to type into it. They shouldn't be able to edit scripts and things like that. And you can also protect it with a password. So if you set that, you see I'm on user level 2 now. And the menu item is even gone. You have to hold down the command key, and then you can choose protect stack again. And so I can now set user level to 5. All I want, nothing changes. I'm not getting my tools palette back. And if I switch it back to scripting, it's back there. Of course, now I can say user level to 2, or I can set it back to 5, and the menu bar will add all the missing menus. Nope, it's full 2x and new stack. I think it's a bug in the message window in your emulator. Just don't know why it would ignore enter return key. Ah, okay. Maybe did you mix up carriage return and line feed? That's like the typical typical mistake to make on classic Mac OS, right? That you use line feed like on Linux, and then, or in Unix and Mac OS 10 and things, and then realize, oh wait, Mac OS is carriage return. Or maybe it's key codes versus character codes. I don't know. Yes, weird. The same thing works in 1x but not 2x. Well, 1x is world script aware. 2x is world script aware. I don't think 1x is. So maybe that's related, you know, because it supports better internationalization. I don't know. Yeah. It might just be, you know, somebody writing weird code as well. Okay, so we generate the list with the correct indentation. We generate the paths correctly, I think. So now where is the thing? Here is the folder. Create the folder and next repeat. I think this should work now, but I don't know. So let's try it and see where it blows up. Expected a variable found into. Put length of root folder path +1. Oh, put character length of root folder path +1 to length of the path and a subpath. I guess we'll just let it run and see what happens. Alright, did that work? Oh. It didn't quite. So it copied the files one level too high. Did it copy anything in here? It created the folder in the right spot. But all the files didn't end up in their subdirectories. That's something I can work with. You know what? Earlier I was thinking like, oh yeah, I'll do this one thing and then we can take the break that I forgot yesterday, because it was just about 7 and now it's 8:30. So again, I just completely forgot. Wait, that's the wrong one. The commit button. Alright, let's see. What does it do to get the file paths? So xcopy file, the path. And it says destination folder. Okay, let's set a breakpoint here. And try running this again. Whoops. Variable watcher. There's one thing I never realized about the variable watcher, and that is that it hard truncates here. I wish it would just show more when you make the window wider, but it doesn't. It's only the bottom text field. Okay, destination route path is that one. And destination path is that one. And destination folder. This is wrong. Oh, right. No, this should not be the destination route path. I think destination path is what it should be. Okay, and now it should copy correctly.
Uh-oh.
Failed to copy from syllabus C to test data aardvark syllabus C.
Alert.
Oh, it's missing the colon at the end? Yeah, because we deleted the last item. Put colon after destination folder. I should probably fix the copy file thing. What's the difference between put and set? Put is for assignment to variables. Set is for modifying object properties. So in most other programming languages, that's both assignment, but in HyperTalk, that's two different commands. Okay, looks like it's done. And now let's see how it looks compared to the test data. Aardvark xcopy file xcommand main, xcopy file project, xcopy file sim, yes. And in the aardvark folder, there is test resources, but with a data fork. There is stream app sit, yeah, okay. Resources preserved. And Silly C, yes. We now do nested directories. Alright, and now we just have to do the same in the reverse direction. And then we can actually back up stuff and restore it. I like this. I'm sorry. It just... I like a clean icon list. Oh, right. And I think I'll fix the font now. Sorry. But just for once, again, now that we've been so successful, I need to do some slight pixel pushing. So let's see. That's 3. And let's see, this one is actually only 2. Okay, so it's only this one. And probably the others as well. Minimalism. Yeah. I guess it has a bit of minimalism going for it. Good point. Alright, they should all have at least 3 pixels at the top. Yep. Okay. Good. Okay, so stuff doesn't bump into the top anymore. Will you open source it or shareware it? This tool? Probably just open source it. Create a stuffed archive of it and tell people here, use that for your open source development to get it into Git. Kind of so there's one part missing from this. So this right now just copies it out, like out of the emulator or so, and in a way that you hopefully don't lose data. But of course, the second step would be actually checking this into Git. And what would be really nice would be to have a script that checks out your repository, copies these files into the repository instead, leaves the .git folder untouched, and so then all the difference will show up as changes in Git, and then you can just commit it. And maybe the script could even, just generate a new commit. So I want to be able to type in a commit message here, and save that into the directory as well. So that's kind of what this thing would in the end ideally do. Ideally do. That sounds like something Ned Flanders would say. I diddly do. I diddly do. You don't know how hard it is if you hear yourself echoing in your headphones to say, I diddly do. I never realized, apparently I listen to myself when I say diddly to realize when I should stop letting my tongue tumble over itself. And so if I say I diddly do, and I have my headphones in both ears, it confuses me. One ear out is already fine, because then I hear myself. But apparently I don't hear myself enough. And then my tongue goes like that. Doesn't, the sound from me doesn't sound right. I need to stop, or I need to go longer or something. And of course, there's a lot of special extra things I could do. For example, I could change this list. I could make my own list, out of buttons and text fields, like one for each row, and with like a fake scroll bar. And then I could write a script that imports file icons, that asks the Finder for the real icon of a file, and generates an icon resource from that, which actually the developer stack has an external that is supposed to do something like that. But the problem is you need to tell it where the associated application is. So it doesn't query the desktop database directly, but apparently it kind of like looks into the application and then asks it, looks up the icon in there. And actually, I don't quite remember how you looked up icons in classic macOS. I think icon services might actually already exist. I could look that up, I guess. Because I think macOS 9 and Appearance could have been the one that had icon services. Let's check. Could have probably just looked for the file on the disk, but no, apparently that's not there. Is there like icons? Icons.h exists, but I think that just get icon cache. No, I think that is icon services. Is it? Plot icon, add icon to suite, get icon from suite. Okay, that's at least some of the calls I associated with icon services. But it could just be the Finder icon support, and I'd still have to look them up. Get icon, call icon, getter proc. No. No, I think that doesn't actually. I guess I'd need to find API. I'm looking for API that lets me first find an application by its creator code, and then find an icon for a file type that this application supports. I think that's what I need. Basically, I'm just looking for a way to say, give me the icon for this arbitrary file. But as far as I remember from macOS 9, that would be limited to asking the Finder for the application for a certain creator, and then looking in the resources of that application for its icons. Haven't yet encountered an API for that, but I'm still a System 7 level, not sure if the later calls for getting it. Well, that definitely was icon services, and that is I thought that was macOS 9, but maybe I need a newer Code Warrior for that. But I also think there was an old call that I used once to get an application by its creator code. I just don't know what it was called. You just know that the desktop database, which Finder uses to associate icons with applications, was totally revamped between System 6 and 7, so can't cheat by reading desktop file directly. Yeah. But that's just a cache, so... But I'm trying to... Is it OS utils? There was something where you could find an application by creator code. Where was that? Maybe it was in finder.h or something? Yeah, I think those are more low-level operating system utilities. Queue manager. Oh, nice. Never used that one. System 6 used icon hash bundle ref resources stored in a desktop file, but System 7 replaced that by using a B-tree manager and a huge B-tree similar to one HFS uses. Ah, cool. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I do remember, like, System 6 desktop file sounds familiar. That it just copied the resources from the applications. Wait, let's... This is not really something I should be doing here. It's not part of my project. But let's see, finder.h. That kind of sounds like a candidate. I think entire B-tree manager is also documented, undocumented. That could be. Oh, wait until you get to the layer manager. If you haven't already. That was always the layer manager was apparently something that they originally intended to publish, but then System 7 bread and butter. Yeah. And apparently originally it was intended that that would be released. And then they just went like, oh, for some reason we don't want to release it after all. I think they added it already in System 6 and Multifinder, though. Totally possible, yeah. It would make sense that it would be needed for that. Oh, that's a little... I expected Finder H to contain a little more than that. It's basically a few resource flag constants and things, and the file info structs. Okay. So that's not it. Wait, let's just go into the universal headers folder and just have a peek if there's any folder, any header that seems like it would make sense. Icons, language low mem, something like processes maybe. I don't know, I think it might have been a fairly... The whole launch arguments thing. I think there was a... Maybe it's PPC, is that program? Yeah, program communications toolbox. Let's see what that does. Whether that happened to have... no, it doesn't look like it. That seems to be really low-level communication. Okay. Processes. Launch application. Get process information. I think it might have been that launch application was actually what I was thinking of, and it does more than I need. Launch param block rec. App spec. I don't know. So I'm reading icon services what added in 8.5. Okay, so then I guess my headers here are probably older. That's totally possible. That maybe this is 8.0-ish or so. I mean, it looks, this look is very, I think that's System 7. So I'm probably with my headers at System 7.5. Is it okay to post the link? It should be fine, yeah. I don't think I've set the new bot up to nuke any links. Try it. What's the worst that can happen? You could get banned. No. It should work, yeah. Mac Tech icon services. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's see. Was there like a desktop thing? World script. It could also be Apple script related these days. Desk. Menus, devices, events. Okay. That doesn't look like it. Well, disk init manager. Talk about a blast from the past. Anyway, I don't really need this right now, so I think I'm going to take a step back and get back to our file copying code, which is mostly in HyperCard now. Maybe what you're looking for, selection, plotting a file or folder's icon, are universal interfaces for 8.5 or later. I don't think so. I think this is Code Warrior 10 Gold is, I think, older. Let's see what it says here and what's new. JDK 102. Wow. Wow, does that do log4j? I might need a patch. Command line tools, including MPW, Profiler, Pascal. PowerPC Magic Cap. 1996 is what I can tell you. Huh. Universal interfaces, let's see. MetroX Code Warrior, macOS support. Is it interfaces? I guess it should say the version in the file, maybe? Technology, System 7.5. So yeah, about an entire major revision behind. Universal Interfaces 2.1, here it says it even. On, what was it, Examples, Tools and Essentials? What did ITO stand for again? Something about essentials, tools, and objects? Something like that. Anyway, yeah. I'm running some older headers. If you want the real icon someday, you need to update headers to the 8.5 minimum. Yeah. Well, I need to update the compiler, I guess. I can go around and look for the disks, I suppose. Okay. Where were we? We had this nice list of files, and it copies them. And now we need to copy them back. Revert. And now we need to make sure it doesn't disappear. Commit. To right of card button commit. The one feature that I wished for when I was still only using HyperCard was a distinction between a button's name and its title. Because that would have really been good, you know, because you could give it a name, you know, to reference it from code, like card button refresh. But on the other hand, if it's localized or something, you can just, you know, write a different title there instead of the name. Just thought I'd throw that out there for people who are interested in the dreams of a 15-year-old. But yeah, Tony, thanks for looking that up. But I think there was a way before icon services to get the icons. I just don't remember what the call was or which header I should look for it. I'm kind of, let me do a quick Google search, so at least I've done that and got that out of my system, I guess. I will probably not find anything because it's hard. macOS find application by creator code. Yeah, that's all info plist. Maybe what if I say Mac System 7? That should eliminate a bunch of results. Doesn't look too promising. But anyway. I keep finding the website of a friend here, which is kind of funny. All right. But you know something? I think this is a good point for us to call it a day for today. It's 9 p.m. already. I hope to see you again tomorrow. And then tomorrow we'll do the reverse, which will hopefully go fairly quickly. Because it should really just be the same code with the source and the destination directory exchanged, and with, unstuffing and data fork resource fork swapping going in the other direction. And then maybe we'll continue to actually tinkering on that shell script. Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for those who chatted. Thank you for those who lurked. And also, let me push this button again. As you can see, we usually have Sunday streams where we play games. So if you're interested in that, you can drop by on Sunday again. There will be no stream on Saturday. I am thinking about maybe having a few more streams on weekdays in the next few weeks, like until the end of the year or something. So if you're curious about some of this stuff, then I'll see you there. One plan is, once this tool is finished, I'm thinking, haven't 100% decided yet, to go back to my programming language and tinker on that a little bit. So that will be relatively modern C++ programming. So just as a general information, but I think we'll get 1 or 2 more streams out of this before that. So have a great rest of your Thursday evening, or whatever time it is for you now, and hopefully see you tomorrow, same time. So that would be 4 hours ago. I had to count on my fingers there for a moment. Okay. See you, and bye-bye.